Hey guys, Crypto Sunday. Hope you had a nice Christmas and a good New Year coming up. Wrap up sort of for the crypto year is that it's been quite poor. Let's move on. Down about 5,000, 2.3% for the week. Not a huge amount has changed, sort of fairly quiet run into the new year. Looking at the CoinShares report for the week, it was negative, and we're going to get another fairly negative one. 952 million outflow, considering we had three greens in a row, and we're all sort of saying it's a poor time. I suppose that isn't all that bad. We got 460 in outflows from Bitcoin, actually 555 outflow from Ethereum. So larger on obviously much smaller AUM. 55 million outflow from the multi-asset, but still inflows into Solana and XRP. Obviously, these are still much newer ETFs, so you're not really going to have all that much outflow from them, I wouldn't have thought. So, if people bought a month ago, it's unlikely they're going to want to be straight away selling. And yeah, a little bit out of SUI, a little bit into short Bitcoin. People still going into that, even though there isn't a lot in it. A little bit into Chainlink, and quite a small amount into other. That's but sort of been getting some fairly big numbers, whatever those coins are. And yeah, by countries, nothing really sort of much to see. A little bit into Germany and Canada, and sort of outflows mostly in Europe. When I say we're going to have another outflow week, that's pretty much nailed on because we got a full week of net outflows. Almost no inflow at all here from the looks of it. We got 6 million into BlackRock on the 22nd, and that was it basically. Obviously, we had Christmas Day, and Boxing Day was only a half day. I think in the US, I didn't think they were in all day. And Christmas Eve was a half day as well, so not that much. Quite a large outflow to get for what is basically 3 to 3.5 trading days. Ethereum was largely the same, apart from Monday, where, well, we actually got nothing across the board of any of the main ones, and 50 million into the old grayscale, 30 million into the new one, so I just call that grayscale shenanigans, really. And the rest of the week was outflows. Looks like um, BlackRock haven't, or people haven't got BlackRock's number for um, Boxing Day. So yeah, that's still to come out, but I wouldn't imagine it's particularly positive. So yeah, 3 days of outflows, but nothing sort of huge to be fair. And as I say, Solana, interesting that even though it is new, as I say, it's continued its run of no outflows at all. Friday, admittedly, was a flat zero, but that's sort of better than outflow. So some of these people have sort of held for a month and a half, maybe now. Thought, there could have been some panic selling sort of towards the end of the year, or just wanting to get into something else, or maybe people got a good seed price. They might have got a bit of discount or something, and wanting to sort of take that profit. But yeah, it looks like either so far they're not doing that, or there's more buyers interested. So that's pretty good. They still don't have the XRP ones here. I thought they might have added them. So strategy and the treasury companies, I think people were getting a little bit confused with strategy, and Saylor not exactly helping. He sort of did his tweet of green dots beget orange dots, sort of meaning, as far as I'm aware, your average purchase price increases when you buy, and then the following day we get told that they've sold a load of shares and kept the cash. So they haven't increased their average, Bitcoin purchase price because they haven't bought any. They've, sold 748 million shares worth of, or $1 million worth of shares, and kept the cash. They now have 2.19 billion sort of to pay the preferred shares dividends. So people, sort of strategy fans, seeing this as bullish, I would say, this is a necessity because they've issued those, so many preferred shares and they have no, cash flow to speak of. The existing software business, I believe, is still unprofitable or maybe borderline break even. So yeah, they need cash to pay that dividend. So issuing new shares to then pay it out to, possibly even the same shares as a dividend is a little bit ridiculous, really. It's like, borrowing money from the bank and then paying it off with the money that you borrowed, plus interest. So yeah, a little bit odd. We did get, this is all in Japanese, but Metaplanet announced that they are looking to buy up to, well, they're looking to get up to 210,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2027. So how much they're going to do next year, I don't know. They're sort of looking to overseas markets, it was sounding like. And yeah, I think they are at a discount now to their or MNAV is at a discount, so not exactly sure how they will be buying so much Bitcoin, but yeah, there's still potentially, buyers between Strategy and Metaplanet, and, hopefully we would think some others. Yet another reminder to not get too sort of involved with leverage. You can use it a little bit if you really want to sort of pump some short-term gain, but you see what can happen. Admittedly, this is Binance's Bitcoin against their own USD1 stablecoin, but it wicked to $24,111 from 87,000 on on the 1 day chart. This isn't sort of doesn't show exactly how it went down, but it went all the way back down, all the way back up again. And yeah, I presume if you were on leverage using their own stablecoin, which I would imagine a fair few people do, if you're on Binance, you might use their pair. Then I guess you would have got wiped out, and with no good reason, because it was back there, in the same day, and you could sort of go on holiday, go on safari, no mobile data, and sort of leave your Bitcoin on leverage. That's fairly irresponsible, but if anyone does, then yeah, you get zeroed out for no actual loss the following day. So I always say stay away from leverage. So, a quick review on where we've gone on the year. I sort of always report the weekly figures, but since it's the end of the year, yeah, it's a first ever down year in the sort of year after the halving. Sort of 2021 was a good year, 2017, 2013, and 2025 is now a down year, unless we have some drastic increase in the next few days, but 7% down for the year. Obviously, we sort of hit a high shortly after Donald Trump getting elected, and sort of in the couple of months after that, sort of had a bit of a cool down after, that sort of died down and he got in, and we had Trump coin and everything, and then obviously Liberation Day, tariffs and everything, sort of bottomed out at about 74, went to an all-time high in August, and then the absolute high in October, which that guy on Twitter, it seems, predicted at the moment. Whether that is it for the cycle, we don't know, and we've sort of come down again, sort of where we are now. So yeah, long term, always think stick it on the log scale, we look fine. However, sort of whatever timeline you really put this on is just a continuous line up to the right, really, unless you start coming to, unless you measure from the 2021 peak, or you measure from obviously this year. So yeah, I think we look fine. Obviously, altcoins are looking a little bit worse. Ethereum does look broadly similar to Bitcoin. Had a harsher drop in Liberation Day, made its all-time high with Tom Lee and Bitmine buying, which does seem as if that was causing an awful lot of the price gain. And at the moment, it's down 12% on the year. I'm not looking at Solana because it's not really one of my coins, despite being on the pie chart. I'm sort of coming to terms with not really owning that much Solana anymore. And yes, Chainlink is sort of probably my third largest coin in reality, and it's 41.7% down for the year. So yeah, fast becoming sort of, well, it won't be going down the list because it is still bigger than the others, but doesn't exactly help. 41% loss. It sort of crashed in Liberation Day times, recovered a bit, and then has gone down to Liberation Day times. It was $10.90. It's now $12.40, but in broad terms, we are sort of basically back there. Sort of a couple of days after Liberation Day, and sort of in the sort of, that was a couple of days after it was $12.93 and then dropped to $10.90. So yeah, we're around those prices, and it's not particularly healthy looking at all. Radium, though, all the sort of Solana ecosystem coins basically haven't done the same thing. They dropped in March, actually before Liberation Day, and then didn't actually do all that much on the sort of Bitcoin Liberation Day crash, and then sort of had a fairly weak, slight uptrend into the end of the year. Actually topped in August rather than October, and have just been drifting down ever since. And Radium's now 80.72% down for the year. So obviously Radium's got its competitors in Pump.Fun, Exchange, and all sorts now, so it's not looking as strong for them. And Metaplex, coincidentally, is almost exactly the same. I think these sort of Solana ecosystem coins do, tend to trade as a group sort of over the medium term, it seems. They are now at much, much lower than their previous bottom, which actually was early July. They did sort of drop a reasonable amount in the Liberation Day drop to 16 cents, then dropped to just over 10 cents, and is now 5.5 cents. So yeah, 81.1% drop. Basically, Bitcoin has held up well. The large altcoins have held up a little better, and a lot of smaller altcoins, aside from things like Hype and Zcash and that sort of thing, have largely dwindled. So we need it seems, a business cycle upturn, and sort of people, retail to get more money and invest in altcoins, because your institutions are unlikely to buy this sort of thing. Sort of market cap of now 30 million. I bought it when I thought it was a small cap. It's certainly a very, very small cap now. And them doing, buybacks and stuff really doesn't impact the price all that much. So there you go. So checking in on the mining, still hopeful for miners next year, holding the Iron actual stock now, and having another punt on Hive blockchain options, because I'm an absolute sucker and have lost quite a bit of money in them already, but can't help keep coming back. Hash rate wise, sort of went up towards the middle of the week, even on Christmas Day. Bitcoin still carries on as normal. Dropped a bit down Boxing Day, rose up a bit yesterday, and have sort of settled down here again. I would imagine we're pretty much on track on the difficulty. 9.92 minutes average block time. Should be 10 minutes. So yeah, projecting a very small increase. I think this was projected fall yesterday. It's only been a day or two, a couple of days since the previous adjustment. The next one's January the 8th. So yeah, plenty of time for all this to change. But it's all looking quite normal. I am still looking at the global liquidity chart as well. I appreciate the sort of relatively close correlation has completely fallen apart, but I do still think it has an impact on Bitcoin and crypto. And certainly in the last week, it has inched up a little bit more, which is pretty good. Using this beginning of 2024 correlation, it's now sort of implying a $230,000 price. Sort of back when we were trailing it by 12 weeks, that would sort of indicate, in 12 weeks, sort of from where it has before, we haven't got there, so there's no point in saying, we could be there in 12 weeks. It's kind of broke down on the short term, but obviously still important to look at. It's interesting to note, things like gold do sort of track it a little bit closer, or gold doesn't even lag it on 12 weeks. If you sort of flick up global liquidity without the lag, you do actually see a fairly close correlation in the last couple of years at least. Gold sort of doesn't need that gold being in black here, and the sort of one of the alternative global liquidity measures not delayed by 12 weeks. This is real time. They've sort of been moving in pretty much parallel, and gold is exactly the same on the sort of scale as global liquidity. There's no gap like there is with Bitcoin. So yeah, gold in theory sort of seems to follow it in real time, and Bitcoin sort of goes up and down like a heart rate monitor, and in theory follows it over the long term. If you sort of zoom out a little bit more on these, gold sort of it was lagging a little bit 2021, 2022, and then sort of 23 it started to pick up, and then really got going 2024. Just sort of putting Bitcoin on there sort of does seem to follow it a little bit closer. 2021 we had a little bit of an increase. Should probably adjust the scale on that a little bit and drop it down. It does fit even better really, up until recent times where we've sort of diverged. Obviously you get big divergences. It went up much higher in early 2025, went much higher sort of beginning of 2024 with the ETFs, and you sort of had various bit of underperformance in end of 2022 into sort of early 23, but that's over a 6-year period nearly. Correlation is reasonably good, and we're sort of breaking under here, but given the sort of size of these divergences, you wouldn't expect to see it for all that long, and it could start coming back. And implied sort of price on that is also 220,000. If we sort of just take gold off there, give it a better idea, yeah, sort of 215,000. So potentially we get more, sort of flapping about at the same price. But I would think in theory, this keeps sort of trickling higher with the dollar going lower. That affects this. More sort of printing out of China, European Union and Japan, if not the US as well. Wouldn't expect this to start coming down anytime soon. Maybe Bitcoin regains that correlation. So yeah, we'll see. So just having a quick look at this week. We've done the yearly, but yeah, this week Bitcoin is down 1.7% as well. Solana down 1.9%, Ethereum 2.6%, Chainlink 2.4%, Helium 8.7% down. That's the worst of the week. Radium up 0.9% actually. and Gito up 10%, although, these are tiny, tiny numbers. They're all sort of, 360 quid down the bottom here, except helium. Metaplex down 6%, and honey down 4% for the week. The smallest of my coins. Radium, actually. Bigger than Gito and Metaplex. I should reorder these, but they're all sort of very, very insignificant numbers now. So, yeah, could be a tax write-off or tax loss harvesting, rather, at some point. We'll have to see. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Have a lovely new year, and here's to a better 2026. See you soon.